2011 Person of the Year, Transgender Liaison. I have on my show this evening, very special guest, Ms. Roberta Dunn. How you doing there, Ms. Dunn?
I'm doing wonderful, Paul. Nice to see you again.
Welcome back on the Paul Brown Show.
It's been a pleasure. It's been very exciting being on your show. I get a lot of people that bump into me and they tell me they see me on your show, and it's humbling.
Hey, it's an honor to have you on the show. Tell the audience a little bit about Roberta Dunn.
Well, I'm a retired person. I used to be in sales. I went into the federal government. I'm married. Still married to my wife. She's stuck with me after I transitioned. And I have 4 children and 3 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And I'm very active in the LGBT community. I was elected this year to the vice chair of the LGBT Community Center here in Charlotte. So it's an honor and a privilege to be working with doing that also.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you do a lot of things within this community. But one question that I have to ask you, do you feel that the LGBT community, are the individuals being treated as fairly as they should be?
The answer there is yes and no. Some people are very welcome and accepting and very warm and loving. But then there's always the hidden person that's behind the scenes hating LGBT people. And I'm a Christian, and what really hurts is people use the Bible to condemn us and hate us without talking to us and getting to know us. Just recently, a gay person here in the Charlotte area, or North Carolina area, I should say, was held a prisoner in his church for 4 months because he was gay. They were trying to pray gay away or something and yelling at him and screaming at him. So, and this is 2012. What's going on? You know, this is not the 50s or the 40s. What's going on here? And so things like that still happen. And, you know, we'll talk a little about Transgender Day of Remembrance. This year, 38 people that we know of around the country and international have been murdered because they're transgender. Most of them shot. One person was murdered by being stabbed in the face until she died. I mean, so is that fair treatment? No, it's not. There's hatred out there, and I don't know why. We're all God's children, and love us the way the Lord does.
What do you get most out of going out into the community and educating us on transgender and the LGBT?
It's a very rewarding thing. For me, I never started out, this was not a plan that I wanted to be an activist or an advocate or anything like that. I was a family person and loved my family and just wanted to enjoy life. I joined a couple organizations here in Charlotte, the Carolina Transgender Society and then the Charlotte Gender Alliance, and did some work with them. And the question was asked, what are we doing for outreach, to reaching out to the public and talking to them? And somehow I got started doing that. I called up the police department and asked them what the rules and laws were, and they didn't know. They sent me to the police attorney's office to find out that. And it was just like going around in circles to get these things out. And so one thing led to another, and I just started being invited to speak at businesses and that. This past year, I've spoken at numerous colleges, at UNC Charlotte several times about understanding transgender people. Was invited down to speak at Winthrop University down in South Carolina and meeting with the faculty there and talk about a trans inclusion program. So when a person comes to school as Robert and wants to graduate 4 years later as Roberta, what is the school going to do to help with all their records and get everything done right? I spoke at UNC Charlotte, at Winthrop on that, and then next month I'm speaking up at Appalachian State University. I'll be meeting with a class talking about transgender issues and LGBT issues. I'll be meeting with staff and faculty about a trans inclusion program there, and then I'm having the honor to be the keynote speaker for the Transgender Day of Remembrance ceremony that they're having there, which is a memorial service for the people that have been murdered this year.
And that day is November 20th.
November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance. At the Appalachian State, they're doing it on Monday the 12th because the students will be going home for vacation for Thanksgiving, and so we're doing it early. And here in Charlotte, because Transgender Day of Remembrance is 2 days before Thanksgiving, we're going to be celebrating it, the memorial service over at the LGBT Community Center on Saturday the 17th. from 6 to 8 o'clock at night. We'll have keynote speakers. We'll have a candlelight memorial service where we'll read everyone's name and have a bell so it can be sent off into heaven as they're hearing it.
That's awesome. I know you're really involved as far as advocating with a lot of the rights with the LGBT, transgender. You meet a lot with the mayor and a lot of political officials. How does that make you feel, and to be such an impact for your community?
Again, it's rewarding. I find the Mayor Fox has been very, very supportive, along with the county commissioners also. Both have been very supportive. And the city has passed under Mayor Fox an employment non-discrimination policy based on sexual orientation, but they have not included gender identity as of yet. We're working with them and meeting with the city manager, Kurt Walton, and we hope to get that done. Something very, very big happened this past year. So we now have, for the first time in the history, transgender people have some federal rights. We're protected under federal. There's been minor things, or not minor, but within agencies like Health and Human Services, they've given us rights in the hospitals and things like that. But legal protection from being fired. A trans person out in Arizona, he was a police officer, and he wanted to move to California because of personal reasons. And so he left his job and he applied for a job in the federal government, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And he had a specialty that they really wanted to hire him in as. And they said, as soon as you pass your background check, because they have to do a criminal background check, even though he was a police officer, you still have to follow all the government rules, we will hire you in this position, and it'll be going through a contractor, not directly to the government. And then he said, oh, by the way, I'm a transgender person, I'm in transition, so I'm going to be going from Mike to Mary, or whatever the person's name was. So all of a sudden the job disappeared. He wasn't offered the job anymore. They said, oh, we lost funding. And then he checked it out and they didn't. They hired another person. So he sued. And he sued under, based on a Supreme Court case a few years back, where a person who was a heterosexual female, but she was a little too masculine for Price Waterhouse to promote to a partner. She didn't wear the right clothes. She was just a little manly, and it wasn't what the stereotype. She didn't meet the stereotype, and they used that word. This is not the stereotype we want. So she sued, and under the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VII, non-discrimination based on stereotyping to protect women, she was awarded the job and awarded a big settlement in that. So now we are now protected under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII. You can't fire transgender people because they don't meet the stereotype. Just because a person was a male, you expect them to wear a suit and a tie. No, they're now a female. They dress differently. So we are now protected under that, which is a big thing. It's the first time we've ever had this protection, and it's really good. And I think this will be very beneficial for cities and counties to include the transgender community in their employment non-discrimination policy now. So it's very big.
Now, I know you said that you're starting to get a lot of the laws passed, rights and stuff, but are all the businesses following these laws? Because especially during like the hiring and those that's already in employment, because there has to be some type of fear.
Well, a lot are here in Charlotte. The major corporations are Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Duke Energy. All the large companies here have led the way before the city did anything in protection and giving rights. A lot of the smaller companies still don't, and there's still a lot of discrimination. That's why it's very, very important to be protected under the Civil Rights Act, because they can't, if you're working for ABC company, XYZ company, and you transition or they find out who you are because you're being stealth at work, before they could fire you. Now they can't. You're protected by the federal government, that's why I say it's such a big thing for us to have this here. And what's really sad is this is a wonderful city, Charlotte. I love Charlotte. I'm an advocate of it. You know, I wish I'd have moved here 10 years earlier than what I did. And the vast majority of the people here in Charlotte, the restaurants, the stores, and everyone, is very LGBT friendly and accepting. Plaza Midwood, which is part of Charlotte, which has by zip code the largest LGBT population in the city and in the county, So a lot of our people live there, support all the businesses there, and we're looking to move the community center, expand it from where we are, because we've been have such a successful program over the past few years. And
where is the center located at right now?
The center is not too far from here at 820 Hamilton Street in the Music Factory here in Charlotte. And we're looking to move over to Central Avenue in that area there in the Plaza Midwood area. 3 privately owned real estate people who rent properties out, but they're private, it's not federal funding and anything like that, have refused to lease this property. One decided what property is not for lease anymore and we're not interested, but the sign is still up, he's still trying to lease it. Cool. Another one sent us a text message, and the owner said, and we were to the point of doing financial details, we were giving our financial information to nail this deal down, and he said the owner no longer wants to do business with your type.
How does that make you feel that in 2012 we're still having those type of incidents?
That shocked me, that a business person would. Last year in 2011, I had 3 transgender people contact me because they were being evicted from their housing because they were transgender. They didn't want them to live in that housing. And there was nothing, I called city, fair housing and everything else to protect it, and there was nothing you could do if the person did it. Now, under our current president, President Obama, HUD has passed LGBT protection. So if you're an LGBT person and there's federal funding going into this building, then they can no longer evict us. So we have protection there. So these are the important, inch by inch we're getting some protection, but it's still not in the private sector. The private sector can say, so what? We can throw you out. They can't throw out an African American because they're protected. They can't throw out a woman because they're protected. But an LGBT person, we don't have that protection. And these are the things that make me work so hard and passionate. And I dream about them, I cry about them, and I work hard to get our rights.
I know we got an upcoming election. How important is that to find out how that politician feels on certain incidents pertaining to LGBT?
It's very important that the LGBT community support the candidates that'll be LGBT supportive. And a lot of candidates, when they're running, say they're going to be LGBT supportive. And then once they're elected, they forget who we are. Our president has not done that. He did not pass employment non-discrimination the first 2 years he was in office when he had control of the House and Senate. And that hurt because we really needed that. It would have been a great law to have on the books. But his cabinet members have passed a lot of, at cabinet levels like HUD and HHS and Social Security. Those agencies have included the LGBT community in their protection. So we could lose all that.
Okay, is there any issues that what are some of the biggest issues that you're seeing within our community? What are some of the basic issues that you're hearing, you know?
One of the big things is this past year, the state put up Amendment 1, it was called, which would say that marriage between one man and one woman.
Correct. That was
a big battle and a big fight, and we lost it. It was the way that the law was written, and what was voted on was very ambiguous. People really don't understand it, and we still don't understand it. Even though it said Amendment 1 passed, we have not heard from Ray Cooper, the Attorney General, what is now in effect. How is this going to affect us? The city and the county have both passed same-sex partner benefits. So if a gay man and a gay his partner, they can get benefits just like a heterosexual couple can. A lesbian can get the same benefits as a heterosexual. But with this law, this Amendment 1 passed, we're not sure if that's going to take that away yet. Before it was passed, they said no, it won't. The ones who were pushing for Amendment 1, and now that it has passed, they say yes, it does. We were saying no, it will take it away because we were against it, and now we're saying, well, before you said it wouldn't, so why are you now changing your position? But neither side can sue either side on this thing and take it to higher courts until the Attorney General actually defines what it really is, because we don't know yet. It's been how many months? May?
Correct.
So it's been a long time, so we don't know. The city and the county, as I said, are very supportive.